Hey there guys! Today we're going to learn how to crochet this super cute and really easy little Easter bunny toy scrubby. If you do it out of cotton, it could be a great little scrubby that you keep in the kitchen around Easter time or in the bathtub if you've got little ones. Otherwise, it can be a little paperweight if you put a little bit of beans in the bottom, or you could just have it as a little toy around as a little figurine during the Easter season. And it's really easy, so it's actually really great for beginners to crochet or even beginner knitters, because I will show you the pattern is super transferable. What we're going to do to get started, get some yarn. I'm going to be using a crafting cotton. You're going to need some scissors. You'll also need a crochet hook. I am going to use a 3.75 millimeter aluminum crochet hook today. You'll also need a yarn sewing needle. Links to all of the supplies that I'm going to use for this tutorial are going to be in the description box below the video. You'll also need an alternative color yarn for your nose. I'm going to use this kind of orangey pink. So to begin, make a slip knot. To make a slip knot, you make a little loop like this. Cross your loop over itself so that you have an X, see, X. Then you grab in through the loop and pull tight, just like that. And that is your slip knot. And now what we're going to do is chain stitch. You can make it any size that you like, as long as it's a square. So I'm going to just chain 30. There we go. I'm going to just add one more chain just so that I can work half double crochets. And you're going to work half double crochets into each stitch all the way across. So when you're doing half double crochets, you're not working in that first chain, you're going to work into that second chain. So you wrap around, insert into the loop, wrap around, pull through all three. Wrap around, insert into the chain, wrap around, pull through all three. So if you don't know how to half double crochet or single crochet or double crochet or triple crochet, I do have a playlist with all of the crochet tutorials that I have published, and there's more than 70 of them now. So if you're looking to learn crochet, you can definitely do it there. This is more of a technique video than it is a actual stitch tutorial. It's going to be just about the bunny. So once you crochet half double all the way across, chain 2, turn around, and just work a half double crochet until you've got a square. If you're somebody who kind of makes dishcloths already for crochet, you could just grab one of those, one of your crocheted or knitted dishcloths. Come back to the video once you've completed a square. So I'm just going to finish this, turn it into a square, and then I will come back and show you how to turn that square into a bunny rabbit. Okay, so I'm just making it to the end of my square. You can see it's a nice, fairly even square. If you're unsure if your square is even, a really good way to test it is to just fold it on the diagonal, and your corners should line up pretty much. If you've got it looking like that, then you know you would need still a couple more rows. Mine lines up pretty much perfectly. So now what I'm going to do is just do one more chain stitch, so yarn over, pull through, and then I'm just going to snip that off. So I did half double crochets with my dents stitch variation. If you want to know how to do this square part, you can check the tutorial for the half double crochet dents variation that's already on my channel. So this is super dense right now. It would make a beautiful washcloth, but we're not going to do that. Okay, so the next step will require a yarn needle and a length of yarn. So the length I'm going to go with 1 arm's length. So as long as you can hold on to, that should be about, I would say, 1 meter. Now what we're going to do is create some stitches following these lines. So we're going to cut off those corners with stitches and then come back. So I'm going to start here, go up, come down, and then go across, just like that. I'm going to pick this row right here as my beginner row, and you want your you don't tie your yarn off at all with this one. What I'm just going to do is go between each of the stitches with my yarn needle. So the first one, you can see right there, I came up through the bottom, and now I'm going to go back in and just come up and down all the way across, just like that. Once we've made it all the way across, you're going to fold your corners over again so that they meet up, just like that. And we're just going to follow this seam with the exact same style of stitching, going down that and then coming up, and we're just going to do it between these stitches. So you want to go through the entire piece when you're doing this. You don't want to just be through 1 or 2 loops, you want to go through the entire project. It's a little bit more complicated because the stitches aren't going on a direction that you can like follow. You're just supposed to shove in and come out wherever you can along that diagonal. When I make it back to the top, the next step is to do the exact opposite. So fold your corners back down again, and now I'm just going to come back down through the cloth on that other corner. And when you're coming back to that first part where your yarn went in, you want it to be coming out of the exact same hole. So you can see where I began and where I finished are coming out of the exact same hole. The next step for this little bunny is to pull. So you can pick one string or pull on both of them. It's easier to pick just one of them and pull it nice and tight and then switch to the other string and just pull it really, really tight as you can, bit by bit. You don't want to break the yarn. You just want to adjust so that it creates this pucker. And the pucker, you're going to want to fill that with something, anything really. I'm going to fill mine with a little bit of stuffing, like this stuff, just shoving it into that cavity right there. And okay, sorry about that, the camera battery died. So after you pinch everything together by pulling on those threads, you just tie them in the back, at the back, which will end up being the back of the head, and then I just put it inside the bottom half of your square. And now you can see that little square kind of has a little bit of a bunny face. Those corners, the top corners, ended up turning into your little bunny ears. We're going to embroider a little nose on there. But first we're going to finish up the body. So to finish up the body, you're going to need a little bit more fluff like this. And then you stuff it into that body. And then pretty much we're just going to sew the body closed all the way along these 2 seams. And then where that corner is where we're going to put a little puff, a little pom-pom. So we don't need the stuffing in there while we're sewing it together. You'll need a little bit more yarn. I'm going to take about the same amount as I did for the head portion, and I'm going to actually double up my thickness. So I'm going to thread my needle and then pull the yarn all the way through. Then I'm going to attach the yarn just at the base of the head or the ears or whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to just attach it with a good tight knot because this is going to be the basis of holding the entire body together. So it's good to tie it a couple of times. This knot's going to be hidden underneath your stitches, so it's not a big deal. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold these ears out of the way with all of the strings that I don't want to be seen sitting inside of my rabbit. I'm going to grab a little piece, hold nice and tight, and then on the other side grab a loop. And you can grab 1 loop or 2 loops. Farther down I'll probably grab 2 loops because there will be more available. Whereas on this edge there's not lots of loops to choose from. So I'm going through and then I'm coming over like this and then coming through one of the loops on the other side. And what that's going to do is make a really nice seam that is also pretty much invisible. And I'm only grabbing the outer loops from the edge. And basically you just want to move all the way down to the edge, to the bottom edge of your little rabbit square in the same sort of style that I'm doing here. I mean, you could do like a whip stitch, you could do a couple of other different styles, but this stitch is pretty much invisible once it's done, which is nice. And it holds it together really well. So you can see where we've stitched, there's not like a huge obvious stitch demarcation. And this is how I've always been sewing my crochet stuff together, and it holds really well. Alright, so we're moving down the edge there. And when you come to the end, before you come to the end I should say, when there's a little bit of room left but not a ton of wiggle room, that's when you put all your stuffing in. Because at this point you'd have to hold the stuffing down as well as do the sewing, which is like double work. Better to just do the sewing and then shove it all full once your bunny is all sewn together. Alright, so we made it to the back portion of our little bunny. That's all stitched up now, and now we can stuff him. So I'm taking that stuffing that I had previously tested him out with. I'm just going to add a little bit extra in there. And you want to add enough so that it's sturdy enough to stand up on its own. And so you want it to stand up vertically that way for now, because the next step is actually going to be closing up this hole. We're not going to stitch it straight down. Instead, what we're going to do is take the yarn is still on our sewing needle. We're just going to go in and out of all of these stitches, just like this, the last row of stitches, and just go in and out like that all the way around. And when you come back to the beginning, you're just going to kind of treat it like a drawstring and close up that hole by drawing the string. Drawing the string up tight. So we're almost back to the beginning there. My yarn is getting a little short. That's okay because we're going to pull it, which is going to bring back a lot of the length. And there we go. Now I'm back at my beginning stitch. And what I'll do that now is just pull it and see how that closes up that little hole there. We'll just pull it like that until the hole is pretty much gone. And I'm just going to take that yarn that just popped out, because I know it was from previous stitched item, and then I'll just tie it closed like that. Once it's closed, I like to do a little extra knot, and then I will just grab a couple of the loops that are already there, sticking my needle in and out in order to make sure that that stitch is super secure. Then what I'll do is bring my needle in and out through the fabric until I'm around the location where I want the tail. So that's where I want my tail to attach. So I'm just going to bring my needle up like that. And now you can see he looks like a little bunny, but he needs a little bunny tail. And now we're going to attach our little bunny tail. So to make the tail, you'll need some more yarn, and you'll need to wrap around your fingers. I would say wrap once around your finger, and then wrap around 2 fingers until you've got, well, I'll show you when I'm gonna stop. All right, I would say that's about enough. So I would say that's probably 30, 40 times. I have no idea how many times I just wrapped it around. Wrap it around until your fingers are losing circulation and until you've got a nice significant amount of yarn on there. And then you'll take that off your fingers, put it down, and I'm going to use a different yarn for this. This is actually a lace making yarn. It's just really strong, so it holds the pom-pom together for a really long time. Then what I'm going to do is take that piece of string, put my pom-pom right on top of it, and then I'm going to tie a knot, and then I'm going to flip my pom-pom over, pull that as tight as I can without, breaking anything, and then tie another knot, and then I'll just make that into a double knot so that it holds it. And now, to complete a pom-pom, you can cut like this, but I want my pom-pom to be fairly small, so I'm just cutting around like this, and that makes sure I get every single loop. And by cutting it the way that I'm just shortening some of those strands in order to make it a little bit more like a bunny's little cottontail. So there we go. Just going to trim around, and then when it's nice and round, I can use these strings to attach the pom-pom right to my little bunny booty. First, what I'm going to do after finishing rounding off that pom-pom is I'm going to stab right through the middle of it with my yarn like that. Then I will stab my yarn right next to where it was coming out from. And then I can just pull nice and tight like that. And then I'll cut my yarn there. Then I wrap it around the pom-pom just like this. And then I will just tie it like that. And that's the first security for your pom-pom. Next, you grab those pieces that you actually made the pom-pom with, thread your yarn needle with those pieces, and then just thread that through your bunny a couple of times. And then when you get it somewhere that you can secure it, so for me, I'm going to actually secure it right next to the actual pom-pom, and then I'll pull that up like that. Now my thread is back near where the pom-pom's actually attached. I'll separate those, and then I'll just tie them around in a couple of knots like that. And that's just going to secure the pom-pom a little bit more permanently to your rabbit. And now you can see our little bunny has a little bunny tail, little bunny ears, and a little bunny body. This bunny doesn't come, doesn't get made with any legs because it's just a little, you know, little plush toy. But now what we're going to do is add the nose. Alright, so now to make the nose, you're going to need another color of yarn. I'm using this sort of salmony color, and you just need a little bit of it. I'm saying about 1 meter. And then what we're going to do is make a little bunny nose here. And for a bunny nose, what I did for my previous one is I just made it a little nose with a little line, and then I made a collar out of the remaining. So if this is the front of my bunny's face, we want our nose to be somewhere in this sort of a zone. So what I'm going to do is bring my needle up, just like this, and then I'm going to just tie it off right there, because this is all going to be hidden underneath the nose that we're actually making. And then once that's done, I'll clip my yarn really close, and then I will tuck those ends into the actual plush. So now we're going to start by stabbing up one, and then I'm going to come across. I think I'll make his nose about that wide. So we'll start him off like that. Alright, well the camera, I keep calling it the phone. The camera died while I was finishing my little nose, but I made a little nose doing some embroidery stitches, and just that little bit, and I added a little stitch just underneath for a little mouth. I'm not adding any eyes. And then I did chain 50, chain 50, and I made that chain into a little bow to go on his little bunny rabbit neck. So now, here's the final project. It's a little Easter bunny made from one square piece of crocheted or knitted fabric. So you can use a dishcloth. Honestly, if you don't want to crochet something, you could just use a dishcloth. If you like to crochet, then this is a way more fun way to make a square thing cute. This is our little Easter bunny pattern. It is so cute. You could add little buttons for eyes if you want. You could put little X's for the eyes. I personally just like how they look without eyes. I think they look cute. This is a great little gift if you've got a little one in your life. If you don't have any little ones, it's a great little decoration that stands on its own, so you could put them on your bookshelf. And so I hope you liked this tutorial for how to make a crocheted plushy Easter bunny. If you did, let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe to the channel. I do put out a new video every Tuesday and Thursday, so let me know what you want to see in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!